So if you're like myself and you're a 40-plus-year-old adult with responsibilities, and I do use that term loosely, you've got kids, you've got business, you've got work obligations, and you still are trying to crush into the gym, but your warm-ups are taking 15, 20 minutes too long, and by the time you finish the workout, you can only get a certain amount of work in. So what we're going to do is the accessory block that we normally put at the end in block 3, I'm going to push it to the front in the A block. So now we're going to use some of those accessory movements that we might just kind of push off to the side and ignore because we're out of time. We're going to push those to the front, reduce our amount of warm-up, and then we can get to block 2, which is more for strength and power and skill development, and then block 3, which can be more for hypertrophy or muscle development. So in this first exercise, we're going to do some hip thrusts with some shoulder extension work. So I'm just going to use the base blocks bench here, and I'm going to strap up a band here just to encourage my glutes to really lock up my low back. Grab whatever weight is available or that is appropriate for you. I'm going to use a 50 here because it's taking me some time to work up to this. Now, we're going to work on some spine extension as well as shoulder flexion at the same time. And then as we come up, we're going to lock in those glutes and we're going to do a pullover. So we're going to use those lats and the pecs in that long range. And then when I hit end range there, I'm going to let the elbows bend and I'm just going to let the hips sag. So now we're going to get some spinal extension. We're opening up the fascia and the rib cage as well. And then I'm going to drive up, set the core, set the glutes, and pull over. So this is a nice preset for any kind of front levers, if you're doing any kind of upper body pull, ice cream makers, or pull-ups. And I'm only going to do 5 here, so I'm just doing it nice and slow, making sure I'm getting a good stretch. Hang out here for a breath. Inhale, bridge. Pull those ribs down. Nice stretch at the end. Okay, you can bob the neck up and down to release some of that lower neck. So we started with improving some extension at the spine as well as some shoulder flexion. Now we're going to work on some flexion of the spine. We're going to use the tib anterior lifter. I just made this from some piping from Home Depot. If you want a video, I can show you how I set that up. So we're going to do the tib anterior raise, but we're going to do this in a pike position. So we're going to stack in some mobility. So I'm going to take my spine, my hips as far as they can go here, and then I'm just going to drop into a little bit of a pike. So then I'm going to round the spine a little bit. We're going to do the tib anterior raise. Now this is better if you have a bench where it's slightly elevated, but it'll work just fine here. And we're going to do high reps, anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 if you can, okay? And what we're doing is by really firing up the tib anteriors, we're getting what's called reciprocal inhibition on the calves and the posterior chain. So it's not just strengthening the fronts of my shins and my ankles, but it's flossing the nerves on the backside, the dura. It's mobilizing the fascia. And we're getting a nice, as I do this more, I'm getting a little bit lower. So the lower I get, also the more tension I'm creating on the backside, the harder the shin muscles have to work here, the tib anterior. Okay, if you want, you can place your hands underneath your calves to give it a little elevation. And you can also pull yourself down a little bit more into it. Keep the front core activated. So you're really trying to create some compression, breathing. And then when the muscles burn up, you're done. Moving along into improving flexibility in the backside, but also working on some shoulder extension at this point. We're going to go palms facing backwards. So we're going to get our lats to work a little bit here as well as with the triceps. And we're going to fall into our pancake and we're going to give a little lift with the dowel. Now this is a 9-pound dowel. So a regular dowel stick will just work just fine. And when you come back up, I want you to isometrically hold it there. So each time you're coming down, you're going to lift it up a little bit higher. And then when you come back up, you're going to see if you can hold that new range that you just found. Now watch that the wrists don't let go. So if the wrists start to twist off the dowel, that means you're hitting end range. And we want to keep the wrists locked onto the dowel. We need to open up those elbows. Exhale down, pull yourself towards the floor, and then pressing back up with my hamstrings. The other position to open up more of the biceps, so that one opens up, this one opens up the brachialis, the first one opened up the biceps. So we can start to wrist extend here, and then we're getting more triceps to help unlock some of that bicep and brachialis tightness. Same thing, you're going to pull. Gravity's going to help us out here a little bit, so I can use that leverage, but now I want to hold that new position. Scap retractors, triceps, everything is firing up really, really hard here. If you get shoulder pain with push-ups and dips, you are going to want to incorporate some more shoulder extension dowel work. You don't have to do this advanced exercise. This is just kind of stacking mobility, but just some basic lifts. We need to get proper, or at least adequate shoulder extension in order to press effectively and avoid pain. And then lastly, to really lock in some of that new shoulder extension and to open up the wrists, we're just going to do some L-sit holds, and we'll pop up into a little bit of a straddle. So I'm going to hold for 10 seconds, really pushing the floor away, lifting, try and reach for more extension here. 10. That's hard for me. And then to add a little bit extra load here, we're going to go into some tabletop bridges with the fingers pointing straight. Again, we want to open up the wrists for more hand balancing that we're going to do in the second block. Okay, glutes are squeezed, ribs are down. Okay, really pushing the floor away. Should be no pain in the shoulders or anything. If this is too advanced, then you can just back off. You can just do some swings here or some slides. I like these. These are really nice. And then just to get the vestibular system going, we're just going to do some rolls. So we're going to swing. As I spin, I'm getting the vestibular visual system, and I'm actively finding the ground with the arm so that for falling prevention or even just some spin tricks where you got to blindly reach for the ground, it gets the joints, shoulders, elbows, wrists ready for that position. I hope you found that video helpful. I hope this cuts down on your workout time. Just by adding in some mobility and accessory movements in the first block can save you a lot of time and get you better prepared for more advanced strength work or plyometrics or whatever it is you're doing or plan for that day. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button, like and share. If there's any videos or any kind of problems that you are incurring with your body, your movement, your performance, drop a message down below. I'll be happy to help.